At Conway Beach.
I think it's Conway Beach. I believe that's the name of it. I forgot. It's a beach over there at South Carolina, over Charleston.
Okay.
That was the 6th Naval District, and Charleston was. They had a receiving station there, and that's where they sent you to be discharged whenever you built up enough points. See, so Tom, because of all those points he built up overseas, he got out about 2 months before I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he got out like soon after that picture was taken.
Right, that's right. He got out, I think, I got out in March, and he must have got out in about November or December of '45, right after, it wasn't long after, after they bombed, they dropped the atomic bomb.
At what point did he go to law school?
What time?
At what point did he go to law school?
Oh, well, just as soon as he got out of service. Oh. See, Tom, I don't reckon he had any steady girlfriends at all. And I didn't either because, it just wasn't time enough to establish any friendships or connection. and so while I was over there waiting discharge, Tom met his wife, Agnes Bennett. Her name was Bennett. I think Tom would go up from his house after he was discharged, and she was on the basketball team. Agnes was, and I think that's the way Tom met her. He'd go up there and watch those basketball games, the high school basketball games up here.
And this was here in Bremen?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's when he first met Agnes. Well, they married shortly thereafter. And then whenever he was admitted to the University of Georgia to go to law school, they went together. And Tom had an old trailer. And I'll never forget, he lived over there on Baxter Street at the University of Georgia. And they had this lady that had an old boarding house there, and the people were just, the veterans covered up the university right after the war. 50% or more, were veterans of World War II. And they married, and they had a trailer, and that old lady, she stuck all the trailers out there, and had that boarding house, and Agnes and Tom lived in that trailer out there.
So the lady had like a place where you could come eat, but she had trailers around?
Yeah, in the backyard. I won't say a backyard. It was Baxter Street. It wasn't developed on that. See, it's right off Millage Avenue. If you know where Millage is, it was on Baxter Street. I never will forget that. And but Tom and Agnes lived there, and their first son, their first child, was born over in Athens. And I went over there to the hospital with Tom whenever Agnes was birthing Mike. That was their oldest son, Mike Murphy. And of course, and then we graduated, I think it was, Tom and I graduated both in March. They used to have graduations, different quarter. We was on a quarter basis now. I think they're on a semester basis now, but Tom and I got out about the same. We got out in March. I finished accounting over there, and Tom finished law school, and we got out in March, and then they held a ceremony in June out there in Sanford Stadium. So Tom and I went back in June and to go through the ceremony or whatever it was. I don't know what it was.
And so you were studying accounting. You weren't in law school?
Not at that time. No. Then Tom, as I say, come back to Bremen and started practicing his law. So I got a job as an accountant over in Atlanta when I got out in 1949. See, we both graduated in 1949. I think it was June of '49. And I took this accounting job, and I had some more time left on the GI Bill, and I decided to go to Emory Law School. So I took off over at Emory and and I spent 3 years over there. And all the time when Tom had passed the bar, you know, back then you could take the bar, I believe, before you graduated. Now you can't. But Tom was successful in passing the bar, and that's when he established his law practice. Of course, his brother James already had one, but he was practicing out of his home. Then they moved a little building up there. I forgot I think it's wasn't that old building where the Church of God is or something like that.
Okay.
They tore the building down.
So they were in another building prior to the...
To the one they're currently in.
Okay.
See, the nice part of Tom, he didn't want to give up that old building over there. He had his office upstairs, and he had 2 lawyers downstairs, his son Mike and a gentleman with the name of Jack Witcher. And they were downstairs. Tom had a little old cubby hole upstairs. It was cramped over there. I don't see how they did it. But they stayed there a long time, but that was part of Tom's culture, I guess you say. He wanted to remain a country lawyer. That was his theme, was being a country lawyer. Mm-hmm. And it worked pretty good, I guess. He was pretty successful at it.
Okay. And this was all the while that he was in the House of Representatives. He wanted to maintain that law office.
Yeah, he was named, I think, floor leader under Lester Maddox, I believe. And see, back then, I don't think the House of Representatives paid anything. There wasn't much of a prestige to it as there is today. There's a lot of prestige to it today, but back then, before that, it was they'd alternate. You know, it would be agreeable. This lawyer in Tallahassee would serve in the legislature the next 2 years, and then it would be transferred to Buchanan, the lawyer up there. You know, and they'd switch it around. But there was a boy named Harold Murphy who was a distant cousin of Tom, and he was a representative. Well, he elected not to win, not to run. So Tom ran, and Tom became a fixture over there. They didn't switch it around like they used to. He just owned it on and on and on. So they give up that system.
Well, did anybody have anything to say about that? Anybody voice
Oh, yeah, there'd be some lawyers be disgruntled because Tom had a lock on it, and he wasn't giving it up. And I've been practicing law down here so many, long as my time now, and it's certain like that. But it all changed when Tom established himself pretty rapidly over there because it was his first love. He was, and that was his first love. There's no question about it. That legislature. He was devoted to it, and he loved it. And he enjoyed his influence over there and his power. He had a lot of power, Tom did. He often told me that probably he had more power than the governor. And a lot of times, but I was never interested in politics, but it didn't make me mad because he just served 2 years and quit. But his brother Harold was later appointed federal judge, and then when Tom got in there, he stayed.
Were you surprised when he became a politician?
No, ma'am. I'll tell you why. Because he was always interested. I never will forget. We were down the field pastures one time, and there was a couple of boys down there shooting at us with air guns. What we do is walk up and down those creek banks, trying to find a snake to shoot at with an air gun. You never could hit one, but you shot at them anyway. But we heard somebody firing an air gun somewhere, and we ducked down into a ditch, and one popped Tom right down the head, but he had an old ball cap on, and he had all these old campaign buttons on. He had about 10 on his head, and that old ball cap. It was Senator Russell. And at that time, in 1936, they had a heated race, and Roosevelt came down. He didn't try to purge Georgia, and they were trying to get rid of Senator Russell. And Gene Talmadge was the governor, and he decided he wanted to be senator. He wanted to have Senator Richard Russell's seat, and so they had a big heated race. And Tom was vitally interested in it. I know we used to go to barbecues that they'd have. and go up there and eat that barbecue, you know, and drink their free Cokes.